Hi guys, you're welcome to another beautiful interesting tutorial on how to make this beautiful corset blouse. As you can see here, it's looking so beautiful. Yeah, it's a classic corset blouse for a classy chic. So if you want to learn how to make this and you know that you're interested in learning how to make this, just keep watching and you know what to do. Okay, so now let's dive into the drafting. This is my pattern paper and it's unfold. I have folded it into two. I've gone ahead to put my some of my basic bodies, so I'm going to go ahead and label the balls, under balls, waist and the full length. This full length contains the hip length and the extra 6 inches. I'm not making use of this. I'm just using this pattern paper to illustrate. Now the next thing I'm just going to go ahead to do to mark my nipple to nipple or my bust pan measurement, starting from the bust down to the full length of this blouse. Put your bust, your under bust, your waist, your hip and the extra 5 inches or 6 inches. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to rule the bust pan across like so. Having gotten that, this is just the simplest way to achieve this corset blouse. It's another different um marking and cutting of its own. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead to do the under bust, I'm going to mark 0.7 inches at the both side. You can go ahead and add 1 inch if you want it to be too curvy. Okay, if you want it to just give it that curvy shape, I just mark 0.7 inches. I'm not using this uh measurement. I am not making use of it. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and connect from the under bust to the bust point and from the under bust down to the hemming part. I am just marking out our dart. We all know how to get this type of dart, but just make sure that you mark 1 inch or 0.7 inches depending how your bust is. If you have a bigger bust, just go ahead and mark 1.2 or 1 inch depending. As long as you are marking it and connecting it, you'll be checking it yourself to know if you are in order. All right, the next thing I'm just going to do is on this bust point, I'm just going to go ahead and go up with 1.5 inches. So for now I'm just marking 1.5 inches. I went up with 2 inches, but I just mark 1.5 to see what is going to be giving me, but later on I marked 2 inches. You can use 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just dividing what I have on the armhole area by 2, going in with 0.7 inches, connecting my armhole curve like so. So like I said before, if you want your cleavage to be exposed, you can go up with just 1 inch. If you don't want your cleavage to be too exposed, just go up with 1.5 or 2 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to divide what I have on that armhole and mark it like this on the armhole. So from this center point on the bust area, on the center point of this paper, I'm just going to come in with 0.5 inches. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead to do is to connect my corset shape from the under bust to the armhole area where I divided that armhole line into two. I have thought about this. If you haven't watched my corset or tutorial, please go ahead and do that. Now the next thing I'm just going to go ahead to do is from that half inch I came on the center point of the bust, I'm just going to connect it to meet to the under bust like this. So now you can see that the corset cup shape is showing now. So I'm just going to use my curve rule, placing it, trying to connect from the center point of the bust area to meet to the 2 inches I went up on the that leg. So I've connected this like so. I'm just going to go ahead and connect from the armhole area to meet to the 2 inches I went up on the chest line. So at this point, if you want to do your bust tightening on that area that I went up with 2 inches, you can go ahead and do your bust tightening. I have thought about this. Okay, so this is just, it's pretty advanced class. Okay, if you don't understand it, just go ahead, scroll down to all my corset tutorials, you will understand it. Okay, now after connecting all this is how the shape is looking like. I am trying to blend it and erase a little for it to give us that beautiful shape, cup shape. So this type of cup style is gonna be good if you make use of a ready-made bra cup to it. Okay, so now I am done connecting, carving out our corset cup. You can see how the shape of the cup and the upper part looks like. Now I'm just going to go ahead and input all my measurements. I will start on this chest line to put my bust measurement divided by 4 plus my seam allowance. Now on the underbust, I'm going to mark my underbust measurement divided by 4 plus seam allowance. I will bring back the 1 inch here and add it back. Same thing goes to the waist. I'm just going to put my waist measurement divided by 4 plus that allowance and seam allowance. Now let's just call this place my hip length. I'll add my hip measurement plus that allowance plus seam allowance. So I'm just going to, whatever I have on the hip, I'm just gonna take it down to the full length. Remember that full length has let's just call it 6 inches. We know how the style of the down part of the blouse looks like. So I just rule out that place for us to know it's a hip line. Okay, now I'm just going to go connecting all the measurements across like this. So this is just a simplest way to achieve this type of corset. Okay, now after carving out the shape, I'm just going to erase the line I mark on the hip area, just for us to know that there is a hip measurement there. After the hip measurement, then your extra 5 inches or 6 inches allowance for the carving of the style on the down part of the blouse. So I'm just cleaning it, and the next thing now is for me to go ahead and cut it out. But before doing that, I'll just mark 2.5 inches on the on the armhole area, sorry, on the shoulder. Then coming to the armhole area, I'm just going to mark 1.5 inches for our queen Anne neckline. Guys, remember this has a queen Anne neckline, and watch the way I place my curve rule. You see the way I place my curve rule, connecting it from the shoulder down to the armhole area like this. So if you are cutting on your fabric, make sure you add your half inch for your allowance for your joining. Okay, so this is our queen Anne neckline. I'm not going to be teaching the back of this illustration. I have a tutorial here on how to draft the back of queen Anne neckline, so you can go ahead and do that. So this is what we have after drafting. You can see that it's looking so beautiful. Now is to cut. Then while cutting, I am going to be dividing the channels for the bone for the boning. Okay, so I am not sewing this, I'm just teaching it for us to know how to achieve this type of style. So I'm just going to, after cutting this paper, I'm going to rule out, like mark out some lines indicating our bone channels. Okay, so before I do that, you can see I've used my pencil to indicate some lines there. So you can see that lines there too. I'm cutting out our yoke. So whatever I did on this part, I'm going to be turning the paper on the other side and do the same thing. I'll mark my number 1 and number 2 corset. So now you can divide and create this corset into 3-part corset or 2-part corset. So whatever you want on this corset, you can go ahead and create it. If you want it to be 3-part corset or 2-part corset, you can go ahead and do that, but I didn't do so. So I wouldn't want the Queen Anne neckline to be cut out. I'm just going to go ahead and and mark the lines for my boning. So before I do that, I'm just indicating where this corset cup, the front, I'm just indicating the right place. You know, this corset paper can be so confusing. I'm using my marker to indicate. Now I am just going ahead to mark the lines for the boning channel. And before you get a boning channel, I have thought about it here, guys. Do your waist snatching. Whatever you have on the waist snatching, divide it and mark your bony channel. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead using my marker to mark it, and after marking, this is what it looks like. Isn't this beautiful, guys? Isn't this beautiful? Hey God, though. So the next thing is to carve out that star that was on the down part, and this is my cup looking so beautiful. You can see, looking like a ready-made cup. Now to achieve that curvy part, okay, so this place I'm writing right now is my hip length. So from that hip length, the remaining length I have there is just about 4 inches. So from the hip length on the center point, I went out with 2.5 inches. So if you know how many inches you want to go out with from your or half center part, go out with it. Then I came down with 2 inches. So use this, I am not making use of this. So if you are doing it on your own, know how many inches you are going to use. So from that place, I came down with 2 inches. Then coming to this side part, I'm just going to curve it out. You see the place I marked down the 2 inches, that is where that curvy area will start and meet to the other part, but I'm still going to mark this 2 inches straight down. So you can see the way I am just curving this out. I did not have any measurement to it. I only came up with 1 inch on this side part, then connecting it like so. You see the way I'm curving it. I'm just connecting it. So I'm just taking that straight line down. So you can see the way I am connecting it, curving out the curve, the style on the hemming part. Just curving it out. So why, if you are cutting on your fabric, please don't curve it on the hip length directly. You can come from the hip line, you can come down from your hip measurement, you can come down with 1 inch or 1.5 inch. So before marking out this curve, come down with 1.5 or 1 inch from your hip length. Okay, and that will be all for this tutorial. I hope you learned something today. You can encourage us by liking our videos and also share, right? So this is it, guys. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this beautiful? So I'm just trying to trim it a little. So on this side part, I'm just trying to curve it out a little for it not to be pointy. I thought I'm using it to cut on my fabric. So guys, thanks for watching, and bye for now.